I feel like Rabbi, I need to have business. I need to have like a little bit of business for the YouTube stars. It's like, so how's everybody doing? Turn off your phones. Don't turn off your phones. You're here on Zoom.
Right.
Um, just making sure we're visible. There we go. And I'm gonna find myself here in the list, and I'm going to spotlight Joel. I'm gonna add myself. Okay, Joel,
Okay.
we're ready to
Hey,
roll.
guys, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. It's very nice of you. I just want to say a couple of introductory words for our speaker. Um, you know, believe it or not, we first came here, it's going to be 9 years already in November 2017. Mike sent me a whole thing about his biography, autobiography and all. The women read it when he did the presentation for them. I just want to do a little bit presentative introduction before we begin. And when we came here, I was very apprehensive about brotherhood. I know there hadn't been a brotherhood at the temple. We consolidated. We formed a new temple. It was a new thing. And from day one, the second we got here, our speaker, Mike Rose, has been fantastic to us. He comes to every meeting he can, unless his company sends him to Los Angeles or Florida or Japan or wherever they send him to, but he's helped us tremendously with the YouTube and with Zoom and all, getting people on. He's always helped the presenters set up their themes for. I mean, he's just been fantastic. And every time I thank him, he says to me the same thing. My pleasure. He's just been fantastic. I mean, it's just been wonderful from day one. And I can't thank him enough. I know your pleasure. But now he's going to do a presentation that is really, really important. I know he did a great job in AI with the women, and now he's going to continue with cybersecurity, and which is a thing that we all are very, very with today, with all the scams going on, and AI, which I still don't know. So I just want to thank Mike again. I know your pleasure, and I want to introduce him. Everybody knows him. Actually, he saved our temple. If you think about it, I just want to say one more thing. When Zoom, when we hit the pandemic and Zoom, what we had to go to Zoom for a little while, for a couple of years, I think, or whatever. I saw on the Facebook or something, it said this temple, I don't know if it was in New York, but it had to hire someone, security, so they can go on Zoom to do their service, the services on Zoom for the congregation. And they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. We didn't have to do that. Why? Because we had someone named Mike Rose who did all the security for Amazing. And Rabbi Heidi is great too, because she saves us, believe me, at the Brotherly Shabbat. So I better shut up. I talked enough. I'll mute myself. And Mike, it's all yours. Thank you so much again.
Well, thank you so much, Joel, and for the kind words. It has absolutely been, I'll say it, my pleasure to be part of this community, part of the Brotherhood community. And actually, amazingly enough, looking back on it, when we get to July or August of this year of 2026, it will be 20 years since my family and Rabbi Heidi first arrived at what was then Temple Beth Emeth and is now Beshert. And it was hard to believe that, but of course our children now are. Hanalina just turned 25. Shoshi turned 21 in November. So the math works, but it's absolutely astonishing to me that it's 2 decades now being part of this amazing community. I think anybody who was at the Sisterhood presentation recently knows that I'm passionate about these topics and helping people be more safe and more well informed online. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot over the past couple of years of how do we continue to include people in the ways in which technology is transforming our world, transforming our daily experience. I think to Joel's point, we all sort of saw that being shoved into the future in 2020 when we all had to gain some measure of familiarity and some measure of comfort and facility with using technology in new ways to connect with one another, to remain in community, to remain connected. And that transformation, that sort of forcing function, taught us a lot about what it means to be a multi-generational community, a multi-generational organization dealing with change. I think you could look back 100 years or even 50 years and say, okay, for somebody living in Brooklyn, who lived in Brooklyn for for their whole life or for 50 years, they could have a similar experience, or they could have a similar way of interacting with the world over the course of their life, and it wouldn't have changed all that much. It would change, but the ways they needed to navigate the world, the risks they needed to think about, keeping safe, keeping their money safe, keeping their identity safe, you didn't really have to think about it that much. And then in the past 10, 15 years, the pace of that change, the degree of transformation has just been extraordinary. So I think working with Brotherhood and with the broader Temple community has really taught me a lot about how we need to support one another, how we need to give one another the tools and the support and the resources to be safe, to be confident, and to be able to take care of ourselves and be self-sufficient. I do want to shout out Jesse Schulman, who is on the call today, as someone else who is an incredible source of support, literal tech support, but also cognitive and emotional support for people in this community who are dealing with technology. Jesse has been doing this professionally and on a personal basis for decades. And as you all of you who are legacy PTBAS and folks who join the community later know, she's amazing. But she's one woman. I'm one man. There's only so much we can do. So I'm really glad to have the opportunity to share some general principles. Some ground rules as I start the presentation, and let me just make sure everybody can see. I am going to, let's see. Let's try this and see how it looks. Give me a minute here to, ooh, that's weird. This is the like, maybe we should have tested this beforehand. Oh, that's horrible. No, we're not doing that. Gross. No, thank you. Let's try that again. Um, let's do this without my face. So let me pull this down a little bit. I think, yeah, there we go. This will work. I think we can make this work. Everybody bear with me while I do these machinations. Make a little tiny mic, and okay. How does that look, everybody? You can see me? Okay, I'm there in the little corner. Hi, hello. Hello, everyone. All right, amazing. Let me move this around, get that tucked away there. Okay. You'd think I was a professional at this, and you'd be right, except I, did not prepare adequately for today. So we're going to be talking about cybersecurity and scams. Um, the point of the next 45 minutes or so, is not to terrify you. It's to help you be better equipped. We're going to be a little bit of, let's see what's going on here. Why is this not advancing? Hold on. Looks like we're stuck. Okay, hang on a second. Hang on. It's always something. Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, we're doing this. We're doing this. We're going to do this. Talk amongst yourselves. Don't actually talk amongst yourselves, but I'm going to ask you to talk amongst yourselves in a second. All right, hold on. Let's see. Okay, this is good. This is good. Oh, this is interesting. Why is this not working? Huh. That's interesting. Okay, got a little bug here with my presentation. So hold on, everybody. So expert. It's fantastic when everything was going well right up to the moment when we started presenting, and then it didn't. Okay. All right. So now we're going to try this. I'm really glad this is being recorded, by the way, because you can see me flailing around to try to get everything working.
It shows that you're here.
Okay. I know, isn't it great? All right, so we're gonna switch to this. Okay. Hey, there we go. Hey, and it's working. Yay. Okay. Pretend we just started and we'll move on from here. So we're talking about becoming a cyber detective, making yourself your own best buddy, your own best investigator in understanding scams and risks. We're going to talk about some of the common scams that you may face today, a little bit about protecting your data, making sure that you have a way to manage your passwords, the things that make you visible and authenticated as the person that you are online. We are going to talk a bit about AI. I know we talked a lot about it last time with Women of Bashert, and we're going to give you some resources. The ground rules I was going to set before I wandered into presentation hell. If you have questions, you can go ahead and use the raise hand feature in Zoom. If it's urgent, you can of course speak up and interrupt me. We will have some time for questions at the end, but I do want to make this as interactive as possible. And Jerry, thank you again for sharing your story of imaginary Don Robinson earlier. We'll talk about that in a bit. So, becoming that cyber detective. So really, this is not, it doesn't mean everybody has to be a claymation mouse, but we're going to give you a few common sense approaches, some helpful habits. You're going to get a sense of where these scams are coming from, what they are, and then be able to share with other people. And this is the most important part. When you see something, say something. But specifically, when you see something, phone a friend, text a relative, text me or Jesse. Say, does this sound real? Should I do this? Should I not do this? This seems weird. You have the opportunity to do that. The biggest enemy of your own cybersecurity, of your own confidence online, is urgency. Is that feeling of, oh crap, I've got to do something right now, or I'm going to lose money, I'm going to lose access, I'm going to lose my data. That is a sign that people are trying to get you to do something you shouldn't do. So when you feel that sense of urgency, whether it's an easy pass message or a bank that you aren't a customer of saying your deposit was declined, take a screenshot, send that to somebody that you trust and say, does this seem weird to you, before you move on. That's the first step of becoming a cyber detective. Unfortunately, there's a lot of risks out there. There's a lot of problems. There are an enormous number of active scams and folks who are trying to get your stuff, to try to get your money. I'm going to turn off my little face here because I think this is getting in the way as we have to try to read this. Okay, bye bye, little Mike. He'll come back later. There are so many individuals and organizations out there that are criminals. They're thieves. Oops. And they are trying to take your money. They're trying to take your access. They're trying to take your data. We're going to see the overall impact. Why is this moving like this? Is someone else moving that? It's not me. So that's interesting. There's a lot of money. It's crazy. Why it really wants to be on that slide. So there are even more tools that are out there that are making it easier for people to attack you. There's unfortunately, the financial impact is huge, and also these are in many cases criminal organizations that are based overseas and are in fact enslaving people in order to be the scammers. Bear with me a second. I just need to figure out why this is advancing on its own. So that is a thing I have to do. Hold on. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. This is really a lot of. Oh, I see the problem. Hold on a second. A lot of glitchy today for some reason. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to go back to this. Hopefully, I wonder if I've got something turned on somewhere that's moving this around. Okay, let's try this. Okay, everybody can see this amazing. What the heck? All right, I'm just going to keep jumping back and forth until I can make that stop happening. Um, so the total losses are enormous, and unfortunately, the most targeted age group is folks over 60. Almost $5 billion in losses in 2023. This is a lot of money to be flying out the door to scammers. We don't want it. So we're going to talk about three big categories: phishing, ransomware, and I'm putting ransomware and other payment scams together, and then pig butchering. Why do we call it pig butchering? We'll get to that in just a second. It's a very graphic description of it, but you'll understand why we call it that in a minute. So the first category of scams we're going to talk about is phishing. Phishing spelled with a PH because that's cool, but it is phishing. It is phishing for people to respond. So these are just criminal gangs that are trying to get your information. They are sending you fraudulent links or fraudulent phone numbers. Maybe it looks like, again, we're going to talk about the Easy Pass scam a little bit. They could be talking about cryptocurrency. They could be talking about random stuff that you can look at and say, well, I don't have any relationship with that company. Sometimes that's the scam. It's, oh, did you make this eBay, or this, your eBay order is being processed for an iPhone. And you say, well, I didn't order an iPhone from eBay. And you call the number or you click the link to say, I want to cancel this. That's the scam. They are luring you in by giving you something that is going to make you think, oh, this is an emergency. I'm about hundreds of dollars are going out the door. It's not true. It's not true. You're never going to get that message saying your order is being processed. Do you get those messages from Amazon or when you order? No, you get them in your email or in your Amazon app. You don't get a text message usually. Anyway, sometimes these phishing attempts are extremely personalized, and we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. These usually target businesses or organizations. And unfortunately, sometimes they can be enormously painful and expensive. These are often called spear phishing because they're pointed at one particular fish. And they include emails or texts saying, hey, I need to change my direct deposit information. And I'm going to show you a number of examples that have targeted the synagogue with that exact scam. There was a bank I might have been Singapore, that a couple years ago, a very sophisticated phishing scheme that involved creating a fake video conference, not even just a phone call, a fake video conference with an employee of the bank, where it appeared to that employee that the CEO of that bank was asking him to transfer $25 million to another account, which he did. And that account was operated by criminals. So a little bit of suspicion, a little bit of this doesn't seem right is going to serve you very well in this regard. But the basic point is any unsolicited or novel thing or something coming that appears to be from, even if it appears to be from someone that you have to take a moment and think, does this make sense? Is this something this person or this organization would ask me to do? You may also hear the terms smishing and vishing. If you're getting a text because it's an SMS, a short message service, it's called smishing. And if it's a voice call, the V for voice is called vishing. And I am indeed vishing. We didn't have to have this conversation, but we do. So, who said something in the chat? Yes, Howard says, look at the email address. If you don't recognize it, delete it. Don't hit any link. Of course. And we're going to get right into that. Thank you, Howard, for the tip. So here's a phishing example. Who is sending me this message? Rabbi Heidi Hoover saying, I need to update my direct deposit details for my paycheck. I will appreciate your assistance. And as you'll notice, this is coming from a random Gmail account, DT5755347, not any place the rabbi has ever had a Gmail account. So I don't think she's on, but a former treasurer who I included in this conversation when this happened, because she was just looking at the email address on her phone, or the email on her phone, just said, oh, well, I don't have anything to do with the direct deposit. You need to talk to the office. You need to talk to our bookkeeper. I was like, no, I sent this to you so you would know it was a scam, not so you would actually change the direct deposit. And again, what Howard said, if you can't see the email address, if you can't see the actual sender's information, sometimes it's very easy to just zoom on by, no pun intended, and assume that they are legit, that was something that was intended to happen. But with a little bit of interrogation, a little bit of like looking and say, does this make sense? You will quickly come to realize that it's not the case. Here is a smishing attempt here on the lower right. Coinbase. Coinbase is a cryptocurrency exchange. It's a way for people to trade fake money. Uh, your Coinbase app has been registered on a new device, a Samsung phone in Rome. If this is not you, call us. Okay, so it wasn't me, but why is this coming from a +63 country code? +63 is, I believe, is it Nigeria? Could be Nigeria, could be someplace in Europe. But international phone, never heard from before. Um, I'm not a Coinbase user, so there's no possibility of this being true. But if I were to call them, they would say, "Oh, this. Well, give us this. Let us log in to check this," and they would try to get my information that way. Do not call them. Do not call them. Do not engage. Delete the message. Here's another example: Robinhood stock trading. Uh, Urgent risk warning: your account has experienced an unknown anomaly and is at risk of theft. Please log in via the link below. Now, you'll notice that this link does say www-robinhood, but then .malinchea.com. What? It's never going to look like that. It's never going to look like that. And also, there's now a safety feature that is built into your phone, if you have an iPhone, and a similar one on Android, that says that will not let you click a link that when you're getting a text from an unknown number. Again, you can see this is +44. +44 is another spot in Europe. I don't remember the country off the top of my head.
I think it's England.
Thank you very much. Sometimes you'll see England, sometimes you'll see different places. In many cases, these are, again, these scam factories that have banks and banks of phones. And I'll share some really terrifying coverage from the New York Times and from Wired Magazine at the end of the meeting. There are thousands of phones being operated by people who are again basically in bondage, having to send these scam messages. It's very sad, and it's very upsetting. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do to make the situation for them any better, but we can't engage with these. But if you see this link isn't clickable, reply Y and reopen the message to click the link. That will never happen in a legitimate message. Ever, ever, ever. It's not a thing. So that is a really good tell that someone is trying to get you to do something you shouldn't do. Moving on, these are fake documents. Now, these sometimes get really creepy. And I probably should have redacted my email address because I'm going to get more spam this way, but what are you going to do? I already get plenty of spam. So at work, I use the service DocuSign. We use it for contracts. We use it for all sorts of financial stuff. We use it for signing employment agreements and compensation agreements. So it's not impossible that I would get a DocuSign email that I would need to sign. However, said DocuSign email is not going to say it was issued on the 24th of January, 2026. That is not a common date. And it's also not going to come from a random kamufa.jp, which is Japan, email address. So this one, I'm not going to lie, almost got me, because I was just sort of cruising through my inbox. I'm like, oh, DocuSign. And you can also see this, be careful with this message flag that Gmail is putting in there. So there's lots of little speed bumps that are trying to get you to think before you click. That's the most important part about being a cyber detective. Think before you click. If you're going to click at all, think before you click. And please don't click. We have a +63 message over here from the New York Department of Revenue for some sort of tax refund. If you don't do it by September, it's going to disqualify you. So legalese, fake sense of urgency, bizarre URLs, and the reply why. This is like the trifecta of nonsense in a spam message. All of these red flags. Now, again, they're trying to scam you by putting money in front of you, saying you are due, you've just won. You're the heir to a Nigerian prince, or your uncle just died and left you all this money. It's never real. Never, ever, ever real. And again, good chance to like ping somebody. It's like, does this sound real to you? And they will hopefully say, no, that doesn't sound real to me. But the ones that look like business emails are the ones that are the most dangerous. Speaking of dangerous, the smishing alert from EasyPass. I'm sure you've all gotten one of these. Back in like the fall of last year, they were everywhere, over and over again, getting fake messages from EasyPass saying that you owe money, you have an unpaid toll bill, your license is going to be suspended, all this nonsense. The problem is, this is one where the actual EasyPass folks do send text messages sometimes. So notice the difference here. The international message, the +63 on the left, includes that please reply why nonsense, and the website is not real, versus Tolls by Mail New York, which is real, but is kind of funny looking. So it's kind of a problem. You can always go to the state website, newyork.gov, or to the Federal Trade Commission, or other hopefully reliable sources of information to check, is this real? They will usually have an alert that gives you examples of some of the scams. But this one is pretty insidious because, of course, nobody wants their license suspended. And so you're going to say, I got to do that. Now, if you're lucky, you don't have an easy pass. I mean, you're not lucky if you don't have an easy pass, but it should be relatively straightforward to notice them. The problem is that false sense of urgency being made to think that you're having something stolen. Any quick questions before we talk about the next thing? Nope. Good. And since my slides seem to have settled down, we can continue without more problems. So this is when it gets gross. And I'm grouping ransomware, malware, and gift cards or kidnapping scams together, largely because they are, malware could probably be a separate category, but these are all intended to get you to transfer money directly to the scammer, knowingly transfer money to the scammer, as opposed to sort of fooling you into doing it. Malware, you hear people talk about malware. Malware is viruses, worms, stuff that actually gets on your computer. So it's software that you have to be tricked into downloading and installing, or is designed to install itself. And this can do all sorts of bad things. It can provide remote access to your computer. It can steal your data from your files. It can encrypt all your files. That's ransomware. Often, if you see a pop-up message or you get a phone call that says they're Microsoft tech support, the intention is for you to install malware. And the malware that you install will probably be some sort of remote access tool. So at that point, the scammers can take control of your whole computer. They can watch you or capture your passwords as you're entering them. It's bad. And that actually requires usually professional help to clean up and to get it fixed. If you believe that you may have inadvertently installed malware or a remote access tool, if you get a fake tech support call, unplug the computer, like turn it off, unplug it, put it aside, call for help, because you really don't want them accessing all your data. Ransomware is honestly even worse. Ransomware is a very deliberate, sort of out in the open criminal act, which is we are going the gang, the criminal organization installs software on a computer, usually a work computer, then uses that computer as a base of operations to infect the broader network, infect servers and databases and data repositories, and locks them, encrypts them. So imagine you're a hospital system and somebody gets an email saying, "Hey, I saw this funny picture of you, click here." And they do that on their work computer. which installs the software, which moves to the server, which then, days or weeks later, locks everything. Patient records, billing, insurance claims, clinical trials. All of that data is encrypted, and the people, the IT folks, turn on their machines in the morning and they get a message saying, transfer $500,000 in Bitcoin to this address, or we delete all your files. It's horrific. It is a really, really painful and difficult to extricate oneself from crime. It's important to keep good backups. It's important to try to prevent yourself from being in that situation in the first place. The FBI recommends never paying a ransom, never engaging with the scammers. In some cases, if it's a business or if like it's a utility or a hospital system, they don't really have a choice. But it's super creepy. I hope it never happens to any of you. We have, Baruch Hashem, never had this problem at the synagogue. And in fact, because most of our critical data at the synagogue is cloud-based, it is unlikely that this is something that could really get us unless one of our providers was affected. So this is potentially a good reason to keep cloud backups. So if you have something like Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, or you use a backup solution like Backblaze, that gives you a place where you can have a copy of everything that isn't susceptible to the same risks of ransomware. But again, don't click those links. The gift card scam is a little more simplistic, but again, is trying to get you to send money directly to the scammer. And we're not going to mention any names, but this is something that has targeted us at the synagogue as well. Somebody saying, "Hey, could you do me a favor? I need a few gift cards for an event, or I'm giving out gift cards to the staff. Can you go? And I'm busy. Could you go pick some up at Walgreens for me or whatever? And then take pictures of the redemption codes and send them to me." And if you think about it for 5 seconds, it's like, that doesn't seem like a thing you would want me to do. But indeed, it happens all the time. So here is an example. Again, I'm featuring our amazing Rabbi Hoover sending an email to a congregant saying, "I'm a little busy. Can you manage this discreetly?" I don't know why I have the same screenshot twice. But notice again the email address or there's two different emails. So we have office mail, we have rabbi.temple, like actually making a little bit of an effort to create an email address that might pass muster. And then if you look on the left there, it's I would have called, but it's noisy. But I'll call you later. This is kind of time sensitive. I'm looking to include a gift certificate from a nearby store as part of my presentation. Would you be able to grab one from a nearby store? Now, this is not something Rabbi Hoover will ever ask anybody here to do. So I will remind you, if you ever get anything like this, it's fake, but it's like plausible adjacent. And so if you do this, if you're not aware, if you get a gift card at a store and you scratch off the redemption code and you take a picture of that, that transfers the entire value of that card. That means the person who has those numbers can steal that money. So it's a very frictionless way for the scammers to get your money, because all they need is the photograph. All they need is those numbers. And so this is again very prevalent. Don't ever do it. No one at Temple, no one at your bank, no cop, no parking meter person, no super, like nobody's going to ever ask you to do this impromptu, unplanned. You might have a relative where you choose to send them a gift card, but that's a whole other matter. And there's like the gift card, Amazon or whoever will send it for you. You don't have to do this. Anyway, speaking of super creepy, we'll talk about AI a little bit in the chat. And Gabriel thanks Howard as well. That's very important. This is how, in part, how AI has made this complicated, and we're going to do a little demo of this in a minute. Virtual kidnapping. So imagine you get a phone call from someone who sounds like your relative saying, I'm these people are holding me, or I was in a car accident, or I was arrested. And they're saying, and the paramedics are saying we won't take them to the hospital, or the cops are saying we're not going to take them to the hospital, or the kidnapper is saying you need to send us this amount of money, and you can't call anybody and don't tell the cops, and you need to stay on the line. And in some cases, it might sound like the person they're talking about is there. You might hear the person, your family member, or someone who sounds like your family member saying, "Hey, Dad, it's me. I need your help." Um, this is the most extreme example of urgency trying to take over, like letting they want your adrenaline to take over. They don't want you to engage your higher level reasoning and meditation. Um, and it's super scary. I know people this has happened to, and it's terrifying. But it's fake. It's almost. I mean, how many people do you know who've been kidnapped? It's fake. This is not actually happening. So, and this a similar version of this that's a little bit more innocuous is when you get the email that says, "Hey, so I'm traveling. I'm overseas right now, and I lost my wallet. And can you send me some money to Western Union or whatever?" That's like, again, you think for a second, it's like, wait a minute. I would know if my kid had left the country. So what they're trying to do is prevent you from going out of band to check. So one of the tricks, if you ever get this call, is to say, "Hang on, I'm in the basement," or "Hang on, I've got bad signal. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're breaking up. I need to move where I get better signal." They're going to try to keep you on the line, but you can mute yourself for a minute and take a second and text your family member or text their spouse or whoever and say, "Hey, can you check? They're telling me that she's been in an accident or whatever. Can you check on them?" You have to make a little bit of space. It's like you have to give yourself a little bit of room to take a breath, count to 9, and go sideways to reach out to that person. Remember, you can always put them on speaker. They're going to say, "Don't put me on speaker. Don't put me on speaker." You say, "I can't hear. My phone is broken. My phone is broken. I can't hear you." So say, "Hold on, bad signal. You're breaking up." Put them on speaker. Then try to send that text. Um, but and these are sort of the overall tips. So slow them down. Have a safe word or get another fact. Reach out to them via Facebook or via another pathway. Call them from another phone. Writing down. Like I really hope none of you ever has to deal with this. But if you remember one thing, which is slow down, verify, slow down and verify, that this will hopefully help you, because I can guarantee you, I hope that this is never actually going to happen. The real situation. Okay. Creepy. Sorry about payroll scams for a minute. Again, I'm going to use our amazing Rabbi Hoover in this regard. This is the direct deposit scam I talked about earlier. This is, again, really evil. It's like, I would like you to redirect somebody's paycheck to a random bank. There's no way this should work. There is no way this should work, but it happens to work all the time. People don't think, they don't stop for a second. Like, of course, why wouldn't I get a random email from an email address I've never heard before saying, "Oh, I'm having a problem with my bank. Can you send this to, I had to set up a new account. Can you send this?" None of these are real. But if you don't think about them for a second, they will come through. So we've got our friend DT575, we've got AbleGod06, Green Dot Bank, Meta Bank, banks you've never heard of. Always, and I don't imagine that any of you are handling payroll. Maybe some of you are. Assume this is fake. Say, "Great, I'm going to call you. Great, we'll deal with this on Monday," and then forward it to your IT person or your security person and say, "This is fake, right?" Because it is. Okay, now we get to the really fun one: pig butchering. Why is it called pig butchering? These are the text messages you get that say, "Hey, new phone," and I see this number in my contacts, but I don't know who it is. Or Josephine, looking forward to playing golf on Tuesday. Or I miss you. I hope we get together soon. I'm going to be in town. Can we meet up? Like, all of these text messages that come from random numbers that have nothing to do with you. They're called pig butchering. This comes from a Chinese phrase, which is the idea is you're fattening up the pig to be butchered. You are, and in this case, you are the pig. We are all the pig getting butchered by these scams. They prey on, unfortunately, social isolation. They prey on loneliness. They prey on naivete. As soon as you reply and say, I'm sorry, I don't know who this is, or wrong number, or you have the wrong person, they are going to work to try to gain your confidence. It's a confidence game. It's a confidence scam, the same as a confidence scam that might happen face to face with somebody pretending to be a wealthy, investor from out of town or whatever. And they are going to try to take your money. Unfortunately, this works. And the reason it keeps happening is because it works. People, in some cases, have lost their life savings over a period of many, many months or years. And it's also devastating for family members who are trying to convince the person that has been targeted that this is fake, that there's not a real person on the other, or that the person on the other end is lying to them, because they've created a true emotional relationship, or what they feel is a true emotional relationship with this person. It's, again, super evil. Now, a variation of this is what Jerry was talking about earlier, but we're going to first show. You can see I get hundreds of these. These are all just examples that this is from the last few months. Are you okay? Hey, this is Rachel. I just found this in my contact. I don't know what this. I hope we can get in touch soon. It's been a long time since last met. Like their space bar broke. They just got lazy. Is there my chance we could meet tomorrow? Are you in the middle of something? Hail Mary. Did you notice your email address has changed? Sometimes they come via email. Not as often, but this was sent to me at work. And again, I've got my email address in here. I should have blanked it. You probably didn't expect to receive an email. Nothing special. I just suddenly thought of you and wanted to know how you've been. We haven't been in touch for a long time. Lindstrom Isabella. And then this one, which I just love, which is Christmas. How about Easter egg hunting? Let's enjoy spring cherry. You know what? Sometimes it's poetry. Sometimes crime is poetry. What are you going to do? But these are all obviously fake. Fake, 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 fake. And in the past, I have sometimes engaged these folks in conversation for fun and also to slow them down from attacking other people. Unfortunately, the more that I've learned about this and the more I've learned that this is essentially human bondage that is driving this scam industry, it just doesn't, there's no value for anybody in it. And as soon as you reply, you validate your phone number as being a real phone number that has a human being behind it, which just means you're going to get more. So what you can do, start with this one, and a classic sorry to bother you that I got this morning. And this is not how anybody who I actually know would do it. They would say, hey, it's Bob. Is whose number is this? Or they would call me. Nobody would do this. So if you have an iPhone, there is a feature called Screen Unknown Senders that you can turn on, which will basically take any message that's from an unknown number and will shunt it to a separate list so you don't see it. Now, the challenge here is that sometimes you will get something from, Amazon or your doctor or whatever that ends up in that stack. So you need to know where it is and to be able to go back and check on it and look at it from time to time. But you can also mark people as either known senders or unknown senders, and then you will get the message. If you mark them as known, you'll get the messages from them in the future. But this is a good way to lower the volume and lower the amount of stuff that you're getting. And so when you turn it on, if you then press the delete button on this, then you get an option to either delete it or delete and report spam. And I delete and report spam. Honestly, the churn, the number of phone numbers, different phone numbers that are coming all the time, deleting and reporting spam doesn't really do very much on top of just deleting it, but maybe one other person doesn't get this message. So, and so this is what Jerry was talking about before the call. So Jerry mentioned a story of getting a message or seeing a comment on Facebook from a woman named Dawn Robinson who said, I would love to connect, and I would love to talk and get to know you. And she was fake. She's not a real person. She was trying to scam Jerry. This happens on Facebook all the time. In particular, for women of a certain age, you are targeted by stolen valor scams, which is a version of this fake Facebook profile where someone is pretending to be a military officer or military personnel. So it'll say, I'm in Afghanistan, or I'm in Europe, and it's a, mature man, and, American flag and uniform, and it's a romance scam. They're trying to get you to engage, and again, it's essentially a pig butchering scam with this overlay of a military a fake military career, fake military profile. This also drives me crazy because they target my mom, and like once in a blue moon, one of these gunifs will comment on one of her posts and say, "Hey, I've been following you for a while, and I think we would really connect. And can I reach out to you?" And one time, my mom replied, and the profile said this guy was in Germany or Estonia, but it was like a lieutenant general supposedly. And my mom replies like, "Well, are you in Mexico? Are you in San Miguel where she lives in the winter?" And I was like, "Mom, back off!" And I like grabbed the guy's profile and sent it to Facebook. Unfortunately, and if you've seen the coverage on this, Facebook Meta makes a not insignificant fraction of their advertising revenue and their overall earnings come from fraudulent accounts and from fraudulent behaviors online. So the incentive structure is kind of bent for them. The best thing you can do is report these profiles or warn people, and again say, "Hey, don't. This is not a real person." But it's tough, and it's very hard to combat this. Both the appearance of being true profile, and also loneliness or wanting to connect. That's what these people are playing on, and it's gross, and I hate it, but it's what it is. So there is a group on Facebook called the Stolen Valor Group, which captures these profiles and reports them and tries to get them taken off the service. So if this is happening to you or someone you know, you can join that Stolen Valor Group and get these folks taken off the server, or hopefully get them taken off the service. It's not easy to do. I've taken them sometimes to friends of mine who work at Meta and said, "Can you do something about this? Because this is disgusting." And they don't do very much. Um, so I want to take a second and show you, since we're talking about these phishing attempts, and show you a demo. So this is how easy it is potentially for someone to fake your voice or loved one's voice. So this is a service called 11 Labs. This is a commercial service. There's also free tools that do this, where if they capture even a small sample of your voice from social media, from this video that we're posting on YouTube, here we go, they can clone it. So let me see if this plays.
Hey, it's me. So, this is kind of embarrassing. I went to go run some errands in the car, but I forgot to bring my license. Of course, I got pulled over. The officer is running it by the book and says he needs to arrest me. But if we can Venmo the fine in now, I won't have to get booked. Do you think you can send $500 by Venmo? The number is 917-555-1212.
So that voice clone was built from a 1-minute sample of me talking. It took about 30 seconds to build it. This is you can see this is using the research preview version of 11 Labs, which has the breathing and the pauses and the tone and the emotional like control there. You see those little purple things. So imagine that were a voicemail that you got. Now, granted, this isn't very good. I don't necessarily think that my family would be fooled by this, but someone who didn't know me well might be. So it's kind of disturbing. The problem is this is only going to get better and cheaper and easier to do. So you sort of have to put yourself in the position of, let me call you back. Every time. Anytime you get anything saying, "Can you send me money? Can you send me Venmo? Can you send me a gift card? Can you send me can you send me the bank information?" Whatever. I'm happy to help you. I'm I'm in the shower with my device. I'm pulling a Frema, so I'm here in the bathroom with my phone, and I can't talk right now. Um, Let me call you back. That's is like, and wait, take a moment, text the person, say, did you do this? Um, it's just it is unfortunately the world we're living in, and it's terrifying, honestly. But again, you're cyber detectives. You're all getting your cyber detective badge, so you're going to be the person to say, hey, that might not be real. It sounds real, or it sounds close to real, but it might not be real. So don't assume it's real. Okay, let's talk about more ways to spot scams. We've talked about some of these already. Howard, thank you for making your point. Always look under the initial view. So especially if you're on your phone, you might just see the name of the person who's sending you the email or the name of the person who's sending the text. But if you look at the actual email address, if you look at the link that's going out, if you look at the country code on the phone number, you'll probably have a bit of a clue that this is not real. You got to pause. You got to take a second. Pause, think, don't click. They are relying on your lizard brain. They are relying on your fight or flight response. They are relying on you having a sense of false urgency. Don't let them. Don't let them. Take a second. It's hard to do. We are not wired to do this. We are wired to be reactive, see a stimulus response. That's how we go through the world most of the time. But we have to engage our higher thinking to say, interesting. And maybe this is an opportunity to sort of become a little bit more meditative and mindful and connected, but you have to do it. You can't be clicking stuff immediately. I will out that one of my own children got a message that appeared to be from someone that she knew, and she clicked it, and the creeps on the other end tried to take control of her Gmail account. So that's a not stopping and thinking. So got to do it. Speaking of stopping and thinking, this new initiative from who's heard of Craigslist? You don't have to hold your virtual hands, but I imagine many of you have heard of Craigslist, the website Craigslist. Craig Newmark, the founder of Craigslist, has started this new nonprofit called Pause Take 9, which is exactly on point for what we're talking about. Take 9 seconds. What can you do to protect yourself? Take a 9-second pause. Count to 9. You don't have to count to 10. You just count to 9. Before you click, before you text, before you forward, before you reply, before you open that link, take 9 seconds. And at the end of that 9 seconds, if it seems weird, maybe call a friend, phone a friend. You can check this out. They've just started, so they're still in the early phases, but I really like this because it's very practical. It's one thing that you can do that's going to make your cyber life a little easier. Now, cyber detectives, here's the next few things after pausing for 9 seconds. First thing, passwords. I'm not going to ask you to show your show of hands, but how many of you use the same password for a bunch of different websites? Yeah. It's how many of you write your passwords down someplace that they're visible to other people, or don't write them down at all? Please don't use the same password for every website. I've been guilty of this in the past. You can assume, on average, that if you use the same password for 10 websites, that password is going to be hacked. It's going to be breached, because particularly for companies that have been on the internet longer, e-commerce sites or places that have been around for a while, they originally did not store customer passwords in a particularly secure way. So if people got at those files, if they got at the authentication list, they could crack those, and then they would know your username and password. And if you use that same email address and password for your bank, you're in trouble. So please use different passwords for every site. That then creates a problem of, how do you keep track of all the passwords that you use for all these sites? It's a very long piece of paper. A piece of paper is fine, not great, but fine. You probably want to use a software password manager. Now, this can feel a little daunting, but the good news is your phone and your computer browser can take care of this for you. Google has a free one, so let me see if I can share this for a second. So we're going to look at the Google Password Manager here for a moment. So this is just a Google. Google has this, if everybody can see it. A pretty handy password manager that's built into Chrome. So you can see it'll store all these passwords for you. Now, these are mostly like not sites that I use every day. But for example, I can look for my Bashert passwords, and then I've got my passwords for all these sites that are my Bashert email. Again, shouldn't be showing my email, and it's going to make sure that I'm here and I'm me, and it will autofill this on my computer. Now, if I don't use Chrome on my phone, if I don't use if I have an Android phone, this just works. If I don't use Chrome on my iPhone, it's a little more complicated. Apple has a similar password manager. Again, it's free. It can store your passwords for you. It's not a big deal. This is a great first step. If you want to go a little further, if you'd like to be able to share passwords with your family, or you'd like to be able to have digital escrow, like having passwords that you can share with a trusted someone that you trust, then I would recommend a commercial password manager. So those include things like 1Password, Dashlane, Keeper. I use 1Password. I love it, but they're all fine. If you this is another one where maybe if you have a trusted family member who is sort of your tech advisor, you can talk to them like, what do you use? What do you recommend I use? Can you help me set this up? Because it can get a little complicated. You want to make sure that ideally you're using the same thing in all the places that you interact with your passwords. So for example, for my mom, she uses 1Password. I use 1Password. I can work with her passwords if necessary. It sometimes things will get changed outside of that, and that creates some complications. But as long as we have a source of truth, we can work together. My father-in-law, different situation. He uses the Apple Password Manager because he's got an iPad, he's got an iPhone, he's got a Mac, and but he uses the Chrome browser, which is not made by Apple. So there's now a little piece of software, a little shim that lets him use his Apple passwords in Chrome. So now everything's in one place. And again, it's super helpful. This is one of those things that we're not really talking about digital escrow or other sort of digital legacy planning in this conversation. That's maybe a good talk for another time. But creating a digital legacy plan means having a way to safely transfer your passwords to a family member if you are incapacitated or pass away. This is really important because it makes it so much easier for the person who's trying to manage your healthcare proxy or manage your affairs if they can get into your email, your phone, and so forth, and onto your other services, if only to cancel things or to handle billing and so forth. So the great thing about these tools is they can make that digital legacy step much easier. 1Password, you can share an emergency kit with your family members so they can get in an emergency. Both Apple and Google have a legacy account feature. It's good. It's better than nothing, but basically what it means is if you don't log in anywhere for 3 months, then your legacy contact gets notified and gets the ability to log in on your behalf. That's kind of a long time. So I wouldn't use that as sort of the first line of defense for digital legacy, but it's a good backstop. And what that would mean is that after that period of time, if your account was idle, they would get a message saying you're the legacy contact for this person. Their account has been idle. Do you want to log in as them and start managing their affairs? Is again whole other conversation, but it's important if people are interested in that. Thank you, Gabriel. We can have a separate conversation, and we are getting towards the 1 hour mark or the 45-minute mark, so we're gonna cruise through the rest. But digital legacy, super important. Don't leave it aside. Nancy asks privately, or we could focus just on password management. Yep, I think actually that's going to be more of a workshop. So we probably would want to do it in person where people can bring their devices. It's very difficult to do that in this context because I need to be able to see what you're doing. But password management is hard. Everybody. I think all of us either are the family member for somebody who's trying to manage this or have a family member who's trying to help us manage this. It's not easy. And you have to make some choices about how you're going to do it that everybody can agree on. But starting with some software that is easy to use and is accessible to you is a good place to start. And then having a legacy plan or having a trusted contact doesn't even have to be a family member. It could be your lawyer or your accountant. And say, hey, I'm putting this in escrow for you, or this is in a safe deposit box. Most of these tools, you can put your master password in an envelope in the safe deposit box. You tell the bank, safe deposit box, if my family member shows up with a death certificate, give them access to the safe deposit box. Great. You've solved 2 problems. So then they've got the passwords and they've got the other paperwork that they need. So next thing for safety, 2-factor authentication. We're going to talk about that for about 5 minutes. At some point, if somebody's trying to get you to do something you shouldn't do, they're going to try to get you to give them that 2-factor code. Do not give it to them. What is a 2-factor code? We're going to talk about it in a second. But nobody who's in a legitimate position for tech support or financial agency is ever going to ask you to do this. They will never, never, never ask you to give them something over the phone or by text. I say this cautiously because there are situations with Temple stuff where sometimes I will be interacting with someone. I'll say, give me that code. But we should be doing that over FaceTime, or we should be doing that in person, not over text, not over the phone. What is this? Oh, we already did our password management demo. We're cruising through 2-factor auth. So that's when I say those codes, this is what I mean. So who's gotten that text message from the bank or from Amazon saying your login code is 123456? Everybody's probably seen something like that. These are 2-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication codes. This is a way, and it's actually quite clever, to do some extra due diligence on finding out if you're who you say you are. So a password, or the combination of a username and password, is something that you know. It's a piece of information. Now, it's useful, but it also could be easily shared. So it's very easy for you to give your password to someone. It's relatively easy for someone to get your password. So what we want to be able to do, if I'm Amazon or I'm Bank of America, is add a second way of verifying this. So something that you know as the customer, but also something you have in your possession, your computer, your phone, a little security key called a YubiKey, which looks like this. I have one here on my desk. And some banks, especially if you have a commercial account, will send you one of these, and you can use it to generate the codes. That makes it more complicated to pretend to be you, because without that code, they can't pretend to be you. So this is why you never, ever, 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 ever give somebody that code, ever. And never enter it on a website that you aren't 100% positive is the website you're going for. You have to look at that address bar. You have to look for the little lock and make sure that this is the right site. That's your cyber detective at work, double checking before you enter that. You are going to hear a lot over the next, hopefully, couple of years about passkeys. So passkey is basically smushing the hardware key, like this YubiKey, and the password together. It eliminates the password. So instead of having to sign in with a password and then put in a separate code, and then, are you coming from the right, you're logging in from a new computer, we want to make sure it's you. You're able to verify the user based on a cryptographic key that is stored on their device or stored in their password service. So this is actually a lot safer, and it's also easier because it's not of these sort of moving parts. However, today it's not quite fully baked. So you might have situations where you're asked for a passkey and you scan a code with your phone and it wasn't saved on your phone. And it's confusing. If you can get started with passkeys, it's great. If not, you may have some challenges, but they are coming. So let's take a little video here for a moment and hear about passkeys.
Passwords have been around for a long time, but they're a pain for your users and a liability for you as a developer. Strong passwords are difficult to remember, so many people don't bother creating strong passwords, or they reuse the same password for everything. Password managers help here. Google Password Manager, for example, generates a strong password, autofills it to the right domains and apps, and synchronizes it across devices. But the reality is, not all users rely on password managers. On top of that, passwords are just not very secure. 2-factor authentication does improve security, but it adds extra steps for users and costs you money. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can start the journey away from passwords and make your users' digital lives easier and more secure with passkeys. Passkeys are a simple and secure cross-device authentication technology that enables creating online accounts and signing into them without entering a password. On sites and apps that implement passkeys, the browser or operating system shows users a prompt to create a passkey. Users only need to use the screen lock on their device, such as touching the fingerprint sensor, to continue. There is no need to type or remember anything. Then, to log into an account, users are simply shown a prompt to unlock their device. Sites that have implemented passkeys are seeing a number of benefits, such as higher login success rates, reduced drop-off rates, increased conversion rates, and reduced costs of separate two-factor authentication solutions. Signing in with passkeys provides strong protection against phishing and data breaches, two of the biggest security threats that passwords fail to prevent. Passkeys work with public key cryptography. A passkey is a private key stored securely on the device. It's created when using the screen lock functionality, fingerprint, facial recognition, PIN, or pattern. The matching public key is stored on the server. Because no secret is stored on the server, passkeys are not vulnerable to server breaches like passwords are. Each passkey can only be used for the same service it's created on, so users can't be tricked into using their passkey to sign into a sketchy app or website. Since logging into a site or an app is done by using the screen lock, a passkey replaces a password and a second factor in a single step. Passkeys already work on most browsers and operating systems. When a user creates a passkey for a website on their phone, the phone's credential provider can back it up and synchronize to other devices. For example, if a user sets up a new Android device with the same Google account, Google Password Manager will have all their passkeys ready to use. Passkeys can also be used on devices they are not synchronized to, through the hybrid protocol. For example, a user can use a passkey on their Android phone to log into a website on their friend's macOS computer by scanning a passkey QR code. To prevent remote attacks, the two devices will connect to each other locally, ensuring that they are physically close. We are well on the way to a passwordless future. By implementing passkeys today, you get better security, a better user experience, and happier users. For more details on passkeys and how to implement them, check out our documentation.
Thank you, Google. I'll just note that documentation is not for human beings. Well, it's for human beings, but it's not for people who are using passkeys. It's for engineers and developers who are implementing passkey support for their websites and for their services. It's definitely interesting, but you don't need it. You can. I'll share some resources about passkeys later on. We had a great question from Diane in chat, which is, how do you get your passwords into a password manager if you haven't been using one, if you've got them on a piece of paper or in your head? That's a great question. If your browser has been saving them, so if Chrome or Safari has been saving your passwords for you and you wanted to move to a commercial password manager or a different one, you can export those and then import them into your new password manager. You got to be really careful to get rid of that file when you're done with it. Otherwise, it is a manual process, but the password manager will offer to save those passwords for you. So the best place to start is just with your top 10, 5 or 10 most commonly used passwords. If all you do is change your bank and your Gmail or your email password, your Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile password, like the top 5 most used, and make them stronger and make them unique, you're great. We didn't even talk about unique or strong passwords, which again is a whole other topic, and remembering passwords. This is obviously our follow-up session is making stronger passwords. Alan points out, I would be leery of goo-gl with the hyphen. It's actually goo.gle, not hyphen GLE. So yes, you would be wary of it with a hyphen, but with a dot, it's their URL shortener. Will Apple support screen share and help with setting this up? Probably not, Linda. This is something you're going to want to do with maybe with your grandson. I don't know, somebody who can help you in person. Does having a VPN help? Phyllis, That's actually a complicated question. So at home, you probably don't need a VPN because you're on your network. VPN, for everybody who doesn't know, is virtual private network, which is a way of securing your connection between you and the server. It doesn't really help that much. It's usually for work, unless you're like at, say, Starbucks or at an airport and you're using public Wi-Fi. Then it might be something you would want. And then also, I have gotten phone calls and emails from Con Ed. Yes, I actually had a slide of Con Ed scams that I took out. But yes, Con Ed scams are common. Same with Easy Pass. It's really the same thing of like, you owe us money and you got to pay, or you got a refund, and to confirm you have to click. They're both wrong, but you can always go to coned.com or conedison.com and verify this. You can always look at the URL and see if it's fake. What have I been saying the whole time? Phone a friend. Don't, if you have even the slightest whisper of doubt in your 9 seconds, check in, send a text, take a screenshot. If we need help with taking a screenshot, let me know. I'm going to put that a note here as how to take screenshots. We'll follow up with. So taking screenshots, setting passwords, and old people don't have good fingerprints. Roseanne, that's an excellent point. I have problems using my thumb for ID. You can always use a PIN code. Or you can use a different finger, or you can lick your finger first. But yeah, the Touch ID is actually a legitimate problem. Face ID tends to work better for older adults than Touch ID. But Face ID isn't usually available on all laptops and not on all phones. So yeah, having a phone with Face ID is better. Of course, the people who had Touch ID in the pandemic were happier because they had Face ID. Everybody had a mask, couldn't unlock their phones. But it's funny how it works. So phoning a friend is important. Figuring out who that friend is. Is it a family member? Is it me or Jesse? Is it someone you trust? The best thing I can say here is don't feel like you are being a bother. Like obviously you are the judge of that dynamic and what the relationship is and how much support you can get through that relationship. But anybody who cares about you would much rather get the occasional ping or heads up of, hey, this seems hinky. What should I do here? Is this real? Is this not real? Should I click this? They would so much rather get that every now and then than have to help you recover thousands of dollars for your digital identity. Guaranteed. I can speak for anybody in that situation and say they would much rather have this as a once in a while thing that you have to talk about rather than a crisis. So if you think you have a virus, if you think your computer might have been affected by malware, again, you can reach out for help finding resources. Micro Center, which is over in Industry City, does have some good tech folks over there. And AARP also has this service called OATS, Older Adults Technology Services, I think is what it stands for, which is a great resource as well. They've actually got some cyber scam training as well. So I'll share these links afterward. Mentioned OATS, the Federal Trade Commission. Senior Planet Faye is beating me to it. Senior Planet is great. Thank you, Faye. Yes, they were already on my list. So OATS has this program called Senior Planet that includes classes. Actually, they do training for franchises or affiliates, which I'm going to look into and see if Beshert can become a Senior Planet affiliate and gain some of their resources. The FBI, the FTC, NYP, New York City has done this pretty good summary on artificial intelligence scams. This link, this beshert.org/online safety link, doesn't exist yet, but it will later today, which is going to be resources that are from this presentation and also from others as well, making sure that everybody's aware of scams. I think it's important because we know that the temple is frequently targeted, and we know that sometimes congregants are targeted with gift card scams, with payroll scams, with ransom scams. So I want that to be a general resource for the community as well. And I think obviously we could talk for hours about this. Clearly we want to do like a good password session. Maybe we'll come back this afternoon. But yeah, it's a challenging world out there. I think the good news is, with a little bit of information, a little bit of forewarned and forearmed, you all can be better cyber detectives and help yourselves, help your family members, and help your community by gaining a little bit of skepticism, knowing what you're looking for, and being on the alert. So with that, we'll open it up to more questions. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with me for the extra 15 minutes. So,
Hey, Mike.
yes, sir.
I did screw up the question, but I would still be leery of the Google with the dot in the middle. I would always expect Google to be the one word.
So it's a good flag, and I'll pull that up. Oh, I'm not going to pull it up, but we'll go back to what Alan was talking about. So the link that you saw in the Google video was goo.gle. It's what's called a link shortener, and you're right to be suspicious. Those are sometimes used to deliver scam links. You don't have to go to.
Okay, she is
Sorry.
up.
Oh, sorry, Susie. Sorry, Jesse. Those are sometimes used to deliver scam links, but in this case, that is a legitimate shortener. Yeah, I'm going to mute you, Jesse, until you muted yourself. Never mind. But you don't have to click it. Like in this case, there's no reason for you to go visit it because it's documentation you don't need. But yeah, you want to be a little skeptical of a link shortener. The thing is that you can then go separately and go to google.com and say, is goo.gle a valid domain, a valid link for Google? And you get back the answer like, yes, that's their link shortener. But yeah, good eye. Freema has a hand up. Go ahead, Freema.
Hi, great presentation. I wanted to say that. And I am, people that know me know how much I love the computer. And it's like, sometimes I see weird things. So, I know we have Norton, or we had Norton, and sometimes there's messages from Norton. I would ask Larry if it is legitimate or not, because now if I see something weird, I just don't answer it. I just don't, because I'm really not, I'm computer savvy a little bit, but not like a lot of people in this group.
So yeah, so Norton is a company. Peter Norton founded it that provides security software. So what Freema is talking about is there's actually a scam where you get a fake bill or a fake renewal for Norton that is an email or a text saying you're paying $400 for your Norton renewal, and again, 99.99999% of the time that's fake, and they're just trying to get you to call them to cancel. At which point they say, "Oh yeah, just give us your credit card number, we'll cancel it right away." Again, you're not most of the time that's not going to be something that's relevant for you, so you can just ignore it. It should get blocked. And what Freema is doing is exactly right. If you're not sure what it is, send it to your son, send it to your family member, take a screenshot, say what's going on. So it's good that you have Larry to help. McAfee, again, another, yeah. And McAfee, bunch of them. Yes. Sorry, Jesse, were you trying to talk, or did you unmute on accidentally?
Mike, Dave Schulman.
Hey, Dave, go ahead.
We had a problem about a year ago. We got a notice from one of our charge cards that we had to get in touch with them immediately to unscramble it, or the card would be locked up. What we did to solve the problem was not use the phone number they gave us. I took the card out of my wallet, turned it over, and called the number on the back of the card. It was a scam. Do not call the number that the computer is giving you. Call the number on the back of the card.
Dave is correct. Is 100% correct. That is exactly what you want to do. The number on the back of the card, or the number on the website, like going to chase.com or bankofamerica.com, their fraud number, that's what you want to be in touch with, not the number they give you or the email address they give you or the link they give you. And that will always work. Like it is a challenge, because sometimes you will get a text message. Like I've gotten text messages from Chase saying, you're a fraudulent transaction or fraud alert or whatever. And they're like, did you do this? Now, usually when you get a legitimate message like that, it's just going to be, there was a transaction for this amount with this vendor. reply yes to confirm or no to dispute. And those will consistently come from the same short code. So it's a five digit number. And from time to time, they will be legitimate transactions. Like if you bought plane tickets or something and they weren't expecting it, they'll say, "Hey," if you share a card or you have authorized users on a credit card like children or family members, and they buy something expensive, you get that message. So that's legitimate. But they're not saying click here, and they're not saying call us. They're just saying, are you validating the transaction or not? It's very transactional. So those sort of transactional approvals are usually valid, but again, you can always go to the website or you can always call them using the number on the back of the card, using the address on the back of the card. That will always work. Thank you, Dave, for the tip. Phyllis is next on the list. Phyllis, go ahead.
So once I had a thing and I sent a whole email to like the government, site where you can report scams. Never heard back from them. So my assumption is that they're accumulating information, but the expectation of hearing back and it wasn't like I clicked onto something that said this is a scam site or something. So, it was a legitimate government website, but the thing is, I don't know what they're doing, about scams. So, maybe they're accumulating the information, but they don't always get back to you. So do what it just felt like better to do it than not. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They get thousands of reports. They're probably not going to get back to you. So don't assume that they didn't get it. But yeah, you can go to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC.gov. The FBI has a scam report page. So in general, like most of the time they already know. Like if it's a pig butchering scam or a text scam, they probably already know about it. If it's a situation where like it's a ransom attempt or kidnapping or somebody's calling you or there's a threat or implied threat, yeah, it's worth reporting it because then they may want to go after those folks and investigate them. So next on the raised hand is Linda Kushner. Go ahead, Linda.
Hi, Mike. I thought that the Mac already has something installed automatically for scams.
It doesn't. It has some malware protection, so it's protecting against viruses and so forth.
Right.
It doesn't really have scam protection that way because the scam action happens between the computer and the person, not between the scammer and the computer. So I'm not specifically sure what you're thinking of. That would be scam protection. What you will see is on your phone. Depending on who your cell phone carrier is, they may be blocking certain text messages. Your phone may say this looks like a scam or like this looks like spam. So that's there, but it's not the same thing as having anti-scam protection on your computer. There really isn't such a thing, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Pam and Frank. You're still muted, Pam. There you go.
No, I am. I was sitting in the corner, not because I was bad, but I just wanted to share two quick things. One, I got a Facebook Messenger from a cousin, perfectly sounded like a scam. I have some bad news to tell you. Call me with the phone number. So I actually emailed her niece and said, "Is this Martha's number?" And she came back and she said yes, but it was such a perfect looking scam.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% perfect. And then I did get very far with unfortunately, it was a scam. Chase Bank called and they had it set up. So they said, call me back. And when I called them back, the ID said Chase Bank.
Yeah.
And we got really far until he said something about logging into my account. And I said to him, I'm sorry, I'm not, my bank accounts are not set up like that. And click, he hung up. So I thought that was a pretty, it's unfortunately it's true, but it's also, I think it's a pretty good answer right there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny that you had both sides of it. Like you had the real conversation that seemed like a scam, and you had the scam conversation that was plausible. And that's again, they're trying to build trust with you. There are some very elaborate, and hopefully nobody gets targeted by one of these, but there's very elaborate scams where you'll get an initial call from someone who claims to be the security at Apple, and it coincides with what looks like a an attempt to change your password, and then that person will transfer you to a supervisor, and like they'll create this incredible psychodrama. But the whole point is to get you to that moment where you get that authentication code, you get that prompt on your phone that says, here's the code that you need to log into your account, and that you trust them enough to give it to them. That's the whole point of that, all that theater, all those theatrics is to get you to that moment. And if you take your pause 9 at that moment and say, you know what, I've got eggs on the stove, like my battery's about to die, I will give me the number, I'll call you back. And then they give you that number, and you go to Apple's site and you compare it, like, oh, that's not the number at all.
Right, but I was so hung up in the situation, I didn't think to do what Dave Schulman said, is look on the back.
Look on the back of the card.
I don't have a bank account with Chase. I only have credit cards with them. So if I done that, but I didn't take that moment. But but it's true. They can't log in. They can't log into my account.
Yeah, without that code.
They can't. Well, I don't log into my account, so that I can't give them access to it.
That's even safer.
Right.
It's like you're a couple steps up from keeping the money under the mattress, but it's like, whatever you need to do. Jesse asks in the chat, what do I think of Guardio? I'm not familiar with Guardio, Jesse. Do you want to tell us a little bit, or Dave, you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
I took my hand down.
Okay. I've been getting ads, I'm mostly on Facebook, for a site called Guardio. They're supposed to detect malware or fake, it's actually fake websites. And it warns you that the website is fake and don't have anything to do with it. I just started hearing about that. Yeah. Something to check into.
First time I'm hearing, well, it's an Israeli company. They appear to be legitimate. I don't know if it's worth it. But
the printer, Frank.
We'll look into it and see. And if anybody tries it, let us know how the experience is. I mean, I think it's real. Like it's not itself malware, which is sometimes a risk. But thank you for flagging it. Appreciate it, Jesse. Stan Hollander appears to have unmuted. Stan, do you have a question?
Yes, probably most of you have already gotten these calls, but there was one going around where they've asked if you'd received your new plastic Medicare card. I'm sorry, Social Security card. And of course, there is no plastic one. Then they're trying to get you to say, oh, no, I didn't. Oh, well, then give us the number. We'll send you a new one, et cetera, et cetera. So be on guard for that one.
Ugh, gross. Yeah, like with every new flavor of scam, my faith in humanity drops by a couple points. These are disgusting. Like everything about this is gross and disgusting and unpleasant. And the fact that there are criminals that are focusing all of their energy and efforts on trying to extract money from senior citizens and people and retired people it's horrific. It is just, there's no other word for it. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But you're not defenseless. And Stan, thank you for pointing out that this is not a thing. Like every one of you has the ability to take those 9 seconds, pause, check in, do a little research, like get yourself out of that fight or flight mode, that adrenalized mode, and being reactive, and defeat these mamzerim, because that's what they are. They're crooks, and we don't have to be the victims of criminals. We have the right to not be victimized. So, but that's my soapbox. Any other questions? Anything else that we think, if we're going to do this again, what should we cover? Where should we deeper dive? We know we're going to talk about passwords in more detail. Anybody else have a question? Diane, thank you for your question about migrating stuff into your password manager. That's a great one.
Mike, I have a question.
Go ahead, Doreen.
We have this security software on our computer for many years from AVG, and we run regular scans and everything's always comes back that everything's fine. But I get these pop-ups and they say, oh, your this and this is exposed, and we found this and we found this, and they're trying to get us to pay for like more. We don't pay for the AVG that we have. It's been a free service. And I've been ignoring them. Part of me thinks, oh my God, could this be? But I feel like they're just trying to get our money.
It's fake. I mean, it's either AVG trying to get you to subscribe and pay for the pro service, or they're fake pop-ups, and they're supposed to look like. And again, if you get one, you can take a screenshot, send it to a friend, and say, "Do you think this is real?" But they're probably not real.
Okay, I didn't think so. I just wanted to get your thoughts, and I agree with your sentiments before. I think not only is this horrible, it's so sad that we even have to have this whole session because of all the people out there who this is what they do with their time. It's terrible. So I just wanted to agree with you on that.
Well, so say we all. Lori Pandolfo in the chat. Why not just don't answer any of these text calls or email at all? Why is everyone so polite that they think they must answer it? Lori, great question. And thank you for bringing the what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word for somebody who's just like doesn't like other people or doesn't like to engage with society? Like bringing that the cranky perspective, but that's of course right. You're not obligated to any of these scammers. The problem is if you sorry what
she's bringing skepticism,
but also like what is I can't think of the word.
Misanthropic?
Misanthropic. Thank you, Hazel. Can always count on an educator for the vocabulary tip. Misanthrope. She's bringing the misanthrope perspective. But the problem is you think these people are real people or people that you are supposed to care about in some cases. Of course, not the easy pass people. Curmudgeon. That's also a good description. Roseanne says, I deliberately don't have my banking accounts on computers. The best way to avoid scams. Yeah, that's a good point. Although a lot of banks will no longer let you run your banking life completely on paper or by phone. And that's, again, just the way it is. The federal government agencies like the SSA or IRS will never call you or text you. They'll send you a notice by mail. True, Howard, although they might text you under very specific circumstances, or they might send you an email. And SSA does send emails, IRS, but usually they will say, expect to see a letter. And you never have to take action on it until you get the actual paper mail. Banks have gone paperless in many ways. So there's also challenges too, because a lot of things get connected to your bank account. So there's payment services like Venmo and PayPal. There's paying the IRS or paying bill payment services. So I had a situation a couple years ago where I had a PayPal PayPal account that was connected to my bank account. And so when someone got a hold of that number and used it to order thousands of dollars in equipment, it was very difficult, or more difficult than it should have been, to dispute the charge because it was coming directly out of my bank account, because it was considered a debit transaction. So everybody likes. A lot of people like using debit because there's no fees, because you don't have the 3% or that additional charge, which is good, and that's a great way to save a little money. Credit cards are actually somewhat safer in terms of using them for online transactions, because the credit card company stands between you and the merchant. So it's not money that comes straight out of your bank account in the case of a debit card. It's money that the credit card company is fronting on your behalf. So if you then say, hey, this is fake, the credit card company stops that charge and they will handle the dispute. There's no such protection with a debit card. Debit card, you have to go to the bank and dispute it, and it takes a lot longer to recover those funds. So just forewarned. Any other questions, concerns, comments? I really appreciate all your attention here on a freezing Sunday morning. If you take one thing away, go sign up for pausetake9.org and find, like, if you just think about like reaching for an imaginary cup of tea, whenever you get a text or an email or a phone call, reach for that imaginary cup of tea. I'm just going to take a sip of my hot tea, put it down again, take a breath, like, oh, I've not had my imaginary tea, and now I can deal with these people that are trying to steal my money. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you. Joel, back to you, I guess, to sign us out.
Mike, I can't thank you enough. That was just fantastic. Everyone on here.
Thank you, Mike.
So much. You know.
You're all welcome.
And thank everybody for coming. It's really nice. You know, I can't say go out. I just look at it's about 15 degrees out now. But just take care and be well. If anyone wants to bring anything up.
Thanks.
Okay, we still have some Super Bowl boxes. If anyone's interested, contact Gene or Eric. If you still have a few boxes left on our Super Bowl, Super Bowls next week. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much for having
Thanks
me.
for having
Thank
you.
you,
Thanks.
Joel.
So
For
much
having
for
this
doing
program.
this.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mike.
Very wonderful.
Stay
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mike.
Stay warm and safe.
Right. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
your
Bye.